What you saying, my fellow Saiyans? It's Gohan Solo, hot off the press. Breaking news. I've got this cool deck profile. I mean, I'm pretty proud of myself. I'm not gonna lie, but I don't think that this is anything too outlandish. To be honest, it's just like all the good stuff with a good leader. I mean, I'm gonna end up putting this up before my boo discussion video, but I sort of ended up on this just from where I was going with that, so mixing blue and red, and just realizing, wow, like you've got a sort of this blue red core after this set that can just go into anything, like, well, obviously not everything, all right, but like most things, certainly any blue leader can play this sort of core. Just with the four Cabbas, or Cabbas, Cabbas, for Mighty Mask, with the targets for Mighty Mask, you play Leap to the Future because Toppo's double costed red, so you need to ensure that you have the 2 red more than with any of the blue. I mean, the only blue is Senzu, and that only needs 1, so yeah, Leap to the Future is definitely the one that you go for. You've got Champa and Jaco. Again, I mean, they're great cards on their own, but you can charge them to mana fix, and just extremely good in most decks, pretty much every deck. And Pride and Justice Toppo, like, this card is so strong. And of course you got the Senzu Beans as well. So if we tally that up, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, and of course the super combo as well. So that's 8. Then okay, so that's 35 cards, I believe, right there. You can pretty much just put that into anything. Like, there are so many decks, and then as to how you use the rest of the space, that's completely up to you. But I mean, I wanted to apply it to this leader just to demonstrate its power. Like, some leaders have really gotten better from the new set. There are obvious ones, like I might do a top however many list of leaders that have best improved, but this Trunks is one that I mean, I think that this guy gets a huge boost, and it's subtle. It isn't anything archetypal, isn't anything so obvious. It's like, all right, well, Planet Vegeta plus Mecha Frieza. It's like, well, the amount of really amazing cards that synergize well with this Trunks, mainly because they're 0+5s. Like, Toppo is 0+5. That's that's incredible. Because obviously for this Trunks, it just means that they're all gonna be, draw 1 at worst. It gives them all so much value, and the fact that they're 0+5 synergizes so well with Trunks. So you could put this component in anything. It isn't, just for the flavor that I'm running the Trunks package alongside this Trunks. Again, I think that they synergize really well because they're all 0+5. So you can run this many copies of them. Obviously, you could run other overarm stuff. This is like fairly budget. I wouldn't describe this as a budget deck necessarily. It's sort of like towards the lower end of the mid range in terms of your budget. Like, there's no promos, so nothing's over 10 for sure. Like if you want the foils, then yeah, you can make the deck more expensive. But Trunks' power over seeing time isn't expensive right now. I mean, I discussed this in my top 5 super rares video. Check that video out if you haven't already. But this card, like, I think that it's a sleeper card in the set. Basically, I think that that maybe people haven't clocked on to quite how strong it is, because yeah, like its current use is as a target for dark plot in those decks, because it's like, well, you can bring a 20k double striker off the dark plot. That's strong. Um, and that is, but its biggest strength lies in the fact that it essentially turns your drop and your warp simultaneously into a toolbox, because whatever's in your drop will get banished every time you play an overwhelm. Um, your entire warp is accessible through this effect, so it's just valid throughout the whole game. Everything will either go to your grave or your warp. Ultimately, by going into your drop area, it will end up in your warp, and then this will just add it. So strong. And again, it's just 0+5, so strong in this deck. And beyond that, I mean, it's also a standard, but I think it's just quite interesting how it all flows together again. Like, every card is synergy with the leader. I'll go over the lead just in case you don't know. So basically, if you combo with a card that has an energy cost of 2 or more, draw 1 card. Only during your turn. It'd be broken if it was during their turn as well. Basically just means that you're drawing every turn, and it's so flexible, right? Like, it doesn't have to be, well, it isn't color specific at all. It isn't like you have to attack with this to do it, let alone attack a leader to do it. It has the good awaken of drawing 2. It's preferable, and it's the same effect when it's flipped, except obviously you get the advantage from drawing a card every time you attack. Now you're drawing 2 on your turn. So strong. And these cards are all already so strong. I couldn't help but just chuck them together. Again, this is like a mid budget sort of deck. You could run like Marseillans in this if you had them. You can run, well, like Pro Mohan and all of that. There's a lot of stuff that you can run, but again, none of this is that expensive. So I'll just yeah, go over everything, I guess. For the black stuff, you've got 4 Unrelenting Assault Trunks. So this card is really good. Again, like, you can run Time Patrols if you have them. It would probably be best to have 6 to 7 of a Trunk Xeno, but certainly I think that this is a 4-off is absolutely incredible. So you play it, well, it doesn't cost anything to play, so it's just a 15k that you're dropping for free. It gets banished at the end of the turn, but then when you do, because of its effect, it gets added to your hand. So that's a 0/5 that you're getting back to your hand for free. Really not bad at all. It, like, if you draw one early, you're playing it every turn essentially, until you decide otherwise, until you decide to combo with it or whatever. I think that, because time patrol is really good. You're playing it, drawing a card, it's getting banished, but the fact that this loops back every turn is absolutely insane. And that, not well, it carries on. Like, one thing that's really insane about this, to be honest, the power over seeing time, is that you can loop it. So if you have 1 in your grave, 1 in your hand, you play it, you play the one that's in your hand, choose to add the one that's in your warp through its effect, then at the end of the turn, the one that you played will get banished. The next turn, you just play the one that you added, and then you get to add that one back. It's so strong, so strong. I can't believe that. Like, Trunk's power over seeing time is the sleeper card in this set. Like, there is there. I've said it. There are a lot of sleeper cards in this set. Okay, there's a lot of stuff that is better than it looks at first. This card is absolutely insane. Beyond the fact that it does everything that you want it to, right? You're adding any card you want from your drop area / warp, because your drop area becomes your warp, add it back to your hand. So any of the combos, add them back to your hand. If you need Toppo in a certain situation, like all you need is to have used one of the card that you want to get, and Trunks Power Overseeing Time will give it back to you. It does mean that, you know, like if you really wanted to get technical with the deck building, like you could cut some cards that are at 4 maybe, and run like techie one-offs, just because, you know, Trunks Power Overseeing Time can add them. Like, yeah, you can run less copies of cards, knowing that that Power Overseeing Time is gonna add it back, but you just get so much value from looping out the Trunkses like that. Then Killer Sword gives you sort of top end, particularly in tandem with the Haru attack on Majin. Like, this isn't something that needs any introduction to everyone. It's made a huge splash in the game lately, and it's very well, it's a very good measure against the Mecha Freezer deck, because being able to do these plays where you're just looping out Harus, untapping for each one that you play, suddenly, you know, you could play like 5 or 6 different battle cards in the same turn while untapping like 3 times. It's so strong. Plus the attackers will have like crit or double strike. Absolutely insane. For those of you who don't know, right? So Haru, so weird to say. It's got crit, and that's why you play it. Not joking. It's got 2 battle cries essentially, or autos. So the first one is when you play it, you mill 2, cool. But the second one is when you play it, if your opponent's leader is green or yellow, choose up to 4 of your energy and switch them to active mode. Combo involves Killer Sword Trunks, which is a great card anyway. So you Xeno evolve it for 4. So you play it on top of a Trunk Xeno. Trunks Power Overseeing Time is a Trunk Xeno, but it's difficult to consider times where, you know, you're going to be playing Overseeing Time and then slapping the Killer Sword on top of it. Although it does happen, and I'll get onto that in a second. But your main target will be Unrelenting Assault Trunks and Time Patrol Trunks if you have access to that. But certainly Unrelenting Assault. And, you know, there's like Quick Blade Trunks as well, which is just like a worse Trunks, but it's still one that you can run if you want to just up your ratios, I guess, so you can make this play more consistent. But when you when a card evolves into this card, choose up to 1 battle card in your warp with energy cost of 3 or less or play it. This costs 4 to play, and if the opponent is playing green or yellow and this comes in, it will untap 4. So it means that you can do crazy plays where it's like you play Unrelenting, swing, tap 4, play Killer Sword, get a Haru, untap. Any Harus that you have in your hand are going to be free. Super strong. Another play you can do is if, you know, for 5 mana, you pay 2, play your Overseeing Time, add, you know, basically whichever card you need out of Haru or Killer Sword, or whichever one's gonna extend your play. It just depends on the hand you have. But, you know, just add one of them, right? Whichever one you need. Then play a Haru from your hand, right? So that costs 3. Then you get to untap 4. This has double strike, so you swing with the double strike. You swing with the 15k crit. Then you Xeno evolve Killer Sword on top of the Power Overseeing Time. Play a Haru from your warp, untap 4. Swing. Very, very strong. That's 2 20k double strikes and 2 15k crits for 5, or not even 5, because you're untapping again after the Haru comes back. Very, very strong. And I mean, again, it's something that you can play with any leader. It doesn't have to be this Trunks, but I like this Trunks, and yeah. But you could literally do it with like anything. You could do it with the other Trunks. It would shift the deck because you can run the Mighty Mask engine. If it's a blue leader, doesn't matter which blue leader it is. Like this, it could be these exact same cards in like Vegeta, really. What difference does it make? To be honest, yeah. But Trunks, I think Trunks is probably the most preferable out of most of them, just because you're getting so much value out of it. So flexible again. Vegeta, I think, is a bit weaker because there are different versions of it in Mirror and Marseille that sort of outclass it in some ways. The fact that you're adding, well, it's costing you life to gain the crit. It certainly isn't free, particularly in the hyper aggressive meta that I think most people are finding they're currently in. The rest of the build is really just standard, to be honest. Like, I mean, also another thing with this is like, it's worth it to main. Obviously, if you play basically anything that isn't mecha, then then it's just a 3k crit. In which case, this is still okay. It forms just a sort of mid-range play. Like, there'll be different ways to win those matchups. It depends on if it's aggro or something different, I guess, like Soul Striker or just longer blue and green decks. You'll probably be winning those ones by, like, you know, again, just looping your power overseeing time. So strong, and then you can just sit on at least one unrelenting Assault Trunks to be able to do the Killer Sword play should you decide you need to. Killer Sword doesn't have too many excellent targets in this deck outside of Haru really, though. Like, you can get a Cabba off it, that's pretty good. You can get a Mighty Mask off it, that's pretty good. The rest is sorely lacking, though. Like, yeah, it might just bring out a beat stick, but you know, bring out a 10k and just run over something. Yeah, you would bring out Unyielding Spirit over Goten, because then you could just combo away with this if you wanted to. But yeah, this is mainly there for the Haru interaction. The rest of the deck is yeah, just standard. You got your Senzus, your Trunks, the boy Kibito, Jaco, 2 Family of Justice, 4 Cabba, 4 Mighty Mask, 1 Leap to the Future, 4 Feathering Destruction Champa, and 4 Pride of Justice Toppo. There are a lot of cards that you could run. Like, I found, well, Toppo is certainly very nice in this deck. Again, just because it's a 0+5. I can't believe it's a 0+5. So good. Cause then like there's no downside to playing it. At worst you're just gonna use it to draw 1, or just chump it in a defensive situation. But at best, it's obviously absolutely insane, and it's really good in the matchups that it's really good against. You know, like it's almost an AOE. Plus it negates an attack as well. So strong. Like, its value even extends to like mid-range decks. So strong. So yeah, I'm happy maining 4 of it. Again, the fact that it's double red is a bit awkward, but that's sort of why you want to run more of it anyway. Now I'll just briefly discuss like an idea of a side. Again, it's all just pretty standard. Like, Haru's come straight out for anything that isn't isn't yellow or green, obviously. In which case the Raging Spirits are coming in. Like, Raging Spirit is a great card. It's the type of thing that you could squeeze into the main if you wanted to. Like, you know, you could drop. Well, again, certainly because Power Overseeing Time can add things that have since been used to your hand. You could definitely, you know, go to 2 or 3 Furthering Destruction and chuck in a couple of Raging Spirit in the main if you're more worried about aggro or something like that. I mean, to each their own. But just for the sake of transparency, I thought it was easier to lay it out like this. Yeah, you just swap out the Harus for Gohans. Gohan, yeah, it's very good against aggro, really. Just getting the body on board, being able to regain tempo. Then Ledgic is interesting. So obviously this deck has Mai, but again, Ledgic is just a 0+5, which makes it better than Mai. Frankly, like, I mean, Mai is pretty good, but the fact that it's just a 5k, like, it's just gonna die. It makes it weak. It's better when blockers have good stats, and like, well, this is gonna be free. I want a side 4, just because I want to see it. I don't think this is the type of thing that like Mai I could side 3 of and sort of see myself doing it. But Ledgic is the type of thing that you want to draw turn 1 when you're going second, obviously. Doesn't even necessarily have to be when you're going second, actually. You just want to draw it first turn, and so yeah, run 4 of it. And then any other copies you get that are dead, charge it or combo with it. It's a 0+5. So strong in this Trunks deck. Then yeah, 2 more Son Goten and 2 Whis Coercion. You could get away with like 1, but I like the idea of 2. So that forms, you know, 12 cards to bring in versus aggro there. And like, I would chop and change various things, and the general siding strategy sort of depends. This is again assuming that their leader's not yellow or green. This is assuming you're playing against like a red blue based, like red blue black aggro based deck. Basically this, but just across the various ways in which you might encounter this core. Because again, ultimately, it's like a, you know, it's all one core, right? And then I guess the Mighty Mask engine is a deviation from the core of just, you know, like the good red, the good blue, the staple red, the staple blue, that you can put in anything. Which again, Mighty Mask and Unyielding Spirit isn't quite that. But I mean, it's a bit difficult to say exactly what you would side. There are some things that you would quite obviously side. So again, the Harus come out. I'd side out 3 Furthering, cause I mean, alright. So one thing that I was thinking with the side, you can do it in a couple ways. You might decide that the tempo of Killer Sword outweighs Power Overseeing Time. I liked prioritizing Power Overseeing Time. Well, again, firstly because Killer Sword loses value when you don't have Haru, but also because Power Overseeing Time doesn't lose too much value even against aggro. Like, it's 2 mana, but you're getting to add anything. It can be that clutch super combo. So 2 mana to swing with Double Strike and add the best card that you have access to at that point in time back to your hand is not bad. If you're adding Unyielding Spirit, then you're getting to untap. It's all pretty good, but then it means that it makes siding easier because you can like, you can run, say, 1 Killer Sword and 1 Furthering Destruction, because you might still want access to the Furthering, you might still want access to the Killer Sword at some point, and you'll be able to do it because, again, Power Overseeing makes everything your toolbox. And being able to add Toppo is really, really strong. Just like it might clinch the game against aggro, if you manage to make it to like 4 mana, maybe you used the Toppo earlier, clear the board, they killed it. It's like, alright, we'll play the Power of Seeing Time at the Toppo back. Very, very strong. What else would I side out for those matchups? Again, it gets a little bit like tricky. Like I said, out 1 Cabba, 2 Killer Sword, 1 Power of Seeing Time, and 1 Unrelenting Assault. Because I mean, to be fair, can make a case for having Unrelenting at 4 and Power of Seeing at 2. Just because Unrelenting is easier to play. But either way, this is sort of what it would look like post side against non-yellow / green aggro. And it's all fairly cohesive, to be honest. Again, like, Whis Coercion isn't even necessarily that important, but you can see where I'm going with it. In any case, do with it what you will. The point is, Trunks is super clutch, and all of this stuff is super clutch. So I mean, like, I haven't seen, you know, much discussion around this Trunks going into the new set, and yeah, I figured I might as well plug in the Power of Seeing Time. So strong. But yeah, thanks for watching. I'll put out some more videos soon, and catch you around.